Okay. Say the name again.
Devapriyo. Since they are probably not that visible.
I just put Dev.
Devapriyo.
Shahid, please explain the rules because we have some people from ITM also. They might not be able
Okay, fine. So prepared speech is basically a speech for which you have already done some background homework. And so we have common 5 minutes for speech.
5 minutes.
Fine. So there is a 5-minute speech.
Let's keep it.
Okay, so it's a 5-minute speech. After 4 minutes, you will be given a warning that another minute is left, and you have to generally stop at the 5 minutes. And I hope you find it interesting.
Hello everyone, welcome to our chief guest first of all and fellow Toastmasters to yet another session of Toastmasters. So I don't particularly have a topic today. What I would be speaking on is one of the real life experiences from my school days. It's actually 2 isolated incidents that are connected by, believe it or not, a small piece of chocolate. So it started off with our farewell day at school. So some of you who are from IPM over here, you might be able to better connect with it. During the farewell day, as usual, I used to be a bit of a punctual, naive kind of student back in school. So what happened is that I appeared for, or I was present for the farewell day much before time, much before the organizers of the farewell actually turned up. So I was expecting some kind of small token on punctuality of that sort. Well, the farewell occasion kicked off, and I was requested by one of my friends to perform a small dance step, throwing a few legs here and there, just for the old time's sakes. So I was waiting for the music to start off, and I was to take part in a dance. And well, the music started off. Now I don't know how this happened, but for some reason the song they had selected, particularly my friend, particularly to screw me up, was one of the title or one of the tracks from one of the movies called Raja Babu, if you remember any of them. The one where the hero was wearing a white vest and white set of pajamas, so you know which one I'm talking about. So well, it was a very difficult time for me. I did not know what to do. So in the next 3 seconds or so, I was holding my friend and shouting like a Batman in the Dark Knight, "Where is the exit? Where is the exit?" Something like that. So I made it out of there, and I was fortunate enough to see some of my unfortunate friends take up that role on stage. So it was a nice experience. Moving on, the prize for punctuality was announced. I was up on stage and I saw my principal standing there with a small 5 rupee chocolate in his hand. So that was quite a handsome gift for attending all of those unnecessary days, starting from Founders Day, Teachers Day, Valentine's Day, everything else, the auspicious occasion of the principal's son's new tricycle, Good Friday, Black Friday. I attended each and every one of them. But all of this led to this. So finally, after getting the prize for the punctuality, I stood around, waited around some time, and I saw the person who performed to that particular song walk around with a trophy that was a little bigger than a Champions League trophy. So that was quite motivating, as you would know. 4 years down the line, this was in 2006. 4 years down the line, in 2010, I was appearing for some of the B-School interviews. Most of you know what the experience is like. There were 2 interviewers sitting over there. And for some reason, since I didn't have any other kind of proof or anything else to substantiate my punctuality in school, I carried around that little piece of chocolate wherever I went just to prove that this is what I got for punctuality. So somehow, as he opened up the file, I kept that in the file. Is the time up?
No.
So, as he opened up the file and found that little piece of chocolate, he spoke to the 2 interviewers in their typical sadistic style of laughing. They laughed at each other. He took out the chocolate and says, "Okay, this is what he's trying to give us. This is what we are getting for it. He has brought something for us, really." And they took out that chocolate and started eating by itself. So I was about to tell that person that, "Wait, sir, that's 4 years old. Do not have that." But I thought, okay, let's let that chocolate go ahead and do some good, some kind of poetic justice. So they were speaking to each other that, "Yeah, this is a very good. We appreciate this, but I must tell you that this is not going to help." And I was thinking by myself that, "Yeah, well, it will help. It will help tomorrow." So, that's about it. I just want to remember that little piece of chocolate as a sort of poetic justice, as you see in a movie. Sort of a chocolate that is out on a mission to stamp everybody, whoever expects something that he or she does not deserve. That's about it. Thank you.
they will give for their speech. Next we have Shashank. Please welcome Shashank.
You don't have a collar mic? Do you have a collar mic? That is uncomfortable. You can use a collar mic. If you are uncomfortable, you can use a collar mic.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and good evening, honorable chief guest. Let me start off by asking you a question. If a student is sleeping in the classroom, how many of you feel that it's the student's fault who is sleeping in the classroom? You can raise your hands. Let me just do a guesstimate. How many of you feel that it's the student's fault who is sleeping in the classroom? Okay, that's a small number. I was expecting a big number, but still it's okay. I personally feel that it's the fault of this professor to some extent. I'm not saying it's his fault totally, but I'm saying it because I have some points to put forth. So basically, let me say that when a professor comes to the classroom, he has 1 hour to talk about some technical topic, which is like a speech, because he has the power to talk in front of hundreds of intelligent and intellectual students, which gives him immense power, and he has the power to control the classroom. But I feel that many of our professors fail to do that. As when we say that everyday classroom is like a speech, we have to take into consideration Winston Churchill's saying. He says that a speech is like a girl's skirt. It has to be as small as to grab the attention and as long as to cover the topic. So when it comes to covering the topic, it is okay. But when it is coming to the attention part, most of our professors, I feel, I have no knowledge so far, but I feel that till now, most of my professors have failed to grab the attention of the students. That is why the students sleep in the classrooms. So I would like to put forth 4 points so that a professor can grab students' attention. The most important part is English. See, we speak English like Indians speak. We say table, we say apple. But British speak English in a very different way. They have the particular British accent, which is tone. They have their different tone. So they talk in a different tone. They say a table. So what is happening is they are raising their voice and lowering down their voice. So this will grab the students' attention like anything. See, I'm not saying a professor has to speak in a British accent. I'm saying the professor has to raise his voice when it is an important topic, and he has to lower his tone when it comes to confabulation. So, and again, this is English, the 1 point. The other point is the question. The question has 2 parts. I have put on this other part. The one part is, as soon as you enter the classroom, you can ask the students a question about that particular subject, so that the question will cover the whole topic. That is one part. And other part is, a professor can ask questions anytime. He can ask questions to any of the students. He can ask students like anything. Like if a student is sleeping, I'm not saying he should ask questions to the student who is sleeping, but he should take into consideration the students who are not paying attention. And he can do a thing called cold calling. Our professor, Jayasimha, does this. Many of my PGP classmates would be knowing about it. So, that other part is promise. Promise is something like you have to give. Many of us have grown into this. Many of us have given promises to our parents, and this is why grabs their attention. I mean, when a professor comes to the classroom, he can give a promise that this part which I am covering today, which will be important for your future. This is a promise. I'm not saying that he should give this promise, but he can think of such promises. This will grab the attention. The other and the most important part about this speech is dreams. We all see dreams getting from the ads. We get so many dreams from the advertisements. If you do this, you will be able to do this. You will be able to do this. So when a professor comes to the class, he can give a dream. he can say that in a marketing context, he can say that if you do this today, you'll be able to target the segment. So this is the most important part. These are the 4 points according to which I'm saying that it's, to some extent, it is the fault of the professor who is not able to grab the attention. Thank you.
This one, this was a icebreaker again, is it? I mean, since the information is now there, I think the time cap is very little for me to write as well as to find out what's the next topic, or is it an icebreaker, or what is it?
Okay, I will probably ask the speaker to announce the topic as soon as he comes with his name, so that way he can write it.
So this was what?
This is a debate speech.
No, but which speech? Is it CC1, CC2, CC3?
This is the second speech.
Okay.
The topic of the speech is?
Topic of the speech is teachers failing.
There's a title, right?
Yeah.
So this is CC2, is it? Okay.
So I would request the next.
Devopriyo.
Okay, Devopriyo, can you please tell him your,
What numbers did you give?
See, because each, that's how we do it. Each one has an objective and it has to be evaluated on that only.
Devopriyo also is giving CC2.
CC2, is it? And it's 7 minutes then. So it's
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Huh?
5 minutes.
So you do everything 5 minutes?
Because we have a very strict time.
I see. Okay.
fine, so I request the
No,
next.
because somebody told me they're all icebreakers, so I thought this was all.
Those sessions will be afterwards. So I will request everyone who comes here, all the prepared speakers, to please speak the level of speech and the topic so that Priyanka can actually note them down. Basically, for information for the people who don't know what's the level, there are actually 10 levels in Toastmaster. Before you become a competent Toastmaster, that's the level. That's a kind of certification. So each level has a particular set of objectives. Like one might be a particular define. You might have to speak using humor. You might have to speak using certain gestures. So every level has some kind of objectives, and you need to fulfill that when you are giving that speech. Okay, fine. So saying that, I will probably invite the next speaker, Anand.
Word of the day.
Yeah. Okay. There is one thing another I think is please use the word of the day. The word of the day is basically a new word or even a common word which is used in the session every time. And now all the speakers are expected to use the word of the day in their speeches, and they get brownie points for that. So today's word of the day is consultation, which means to talk informally. I think Shashank used it in his speech, so I'll expect the next set of speakers to do the same. Thanks. So I'll welcome on. Anand.
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 Evening, fellow Toastmasters and sir. Well, this is my first speech, an icebreaker, so I'm apparently a bit shaky, and I think you'll excuse if I read a lot, or even if you'll excuse me for my confabulation. I guess I earned a brownie point already. So the topic that I'll be speaking on today, has something to do with the sphere of power. If I may direct a question towards you, if you are confronted with a situation wherein you need to take a head on your opponent, you need to convince him to come on your side, what all alternatives can you use? If anyone can tell me, how can you wield power on your opponent?
Coax him into supporting you.
Okay, force, that's one. Any other?
Be authoritative in your speech. Be authoritative in your speech.
Again, a sort of a force.
Yeah.
Or perhaps you can even coax him with money, or coax him with somehow emotionally blackmail him, or use certain cues that actually get him to do what you want. Now, traditionally power is defined as an ability to influence others to others to get the outcome that you desire. Now, traditionally there are two ways: a carrot and a stick approach to power. The stick approach essentially argues that you use force or coercion to meet your end. However, the carrot approach says that you induce your opponent by giving him payments. However, that was the traditional view of power. Of late, a third view has emerged, which is quite captivating. What if you can attract and co-opt your opponent to want what you desire? What if your opponent actually wants what you desire? There's no clash of interest. In this way, your needs as well as your opponent's needs meet. This concept is the concept of soft power. the concept of folk power was developed by a Harvard professor, Joseph Nye. He used this term in his book released in 1990, Bound to Lead, The Changing Nature of American Power. Further, this term became a rage, and he went on to elaborate upon it in his 2004 book, Folk Power, The Means to Success in World Politics. So, folk power is something that cannot be wielded by states directly. It is something that is a conflagration of a variety of factors. It can be the country's culture, their literature, their cinema, art, something that is recently happening in that country. So essentially folk power is not only the military might and the economic strength of the country. It essentially encompasses a lot more than that. Now, basically the book has identified three broad categories of folk power. They are culture, political values and policies. Now, as I said, governments can have a certain level of control on the folk power, but there is a certain level of government intervention that cannot really influence it. For instance, when I talk about military, some say that military can also contribute to folk power. Dictators like Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin, they essentially cultivated myths of invincibility to structure expectations and attract others to them. Napoleon I is a good example of a strategist who uses folk power to invite foreign aristocracy. However, there are other cues like culture, which also can equally add to the folk power. Some economists do criticize folk power by saying that they are just, and these are specifically the behavioral psychologists and economists who say that essentially consequences, that is, monetary consequences or military power. These are the two factors that affect folk power. However, as I take the case, there is much more beyond to folk power than these factors. For instance, the pluralism of a country is a good measure of its folk power. I take the US's example. In 2008, the US folk power was reeling under the blanket, largely because of the Iraq invasion and also because of the economic downturn. However, the election of Barack Obama saw a steep rise in the folk power. For your information, folk power can actually be measured on a symptomatic scale, which has 26 matrices and spans across 5 continents. Now, however, that was just an introduction to folk power. How does it influence us? And this is where the crux of my speech lies. In context of India, the concept of folk power has emerged very strongly, and activists and speakers increasingly argue about India's position as a folk power. Whether or not we'll be a superpower by 2020 is yet questionable. However, it is our folk power that most people are definitively convinced of. For instance, to India's folk power, Bollywood is a very important aspect of our folk power. There's a very interesting video by Shashi Tharoor, if you happen to see his TED video, that actually gives you insight into how Bollywood can be India's answer to being a folk power. He quotes a very interesting example of Afghanistan. Way back in 2002, what happened was, we had this famous blockbuster serial, Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, and it was telecasted across countries. By 8:30 in Afghanistan, you could not call an Afghan, because that was apparently the time that this serial, dubbed in Dari, was shown on Tulu TV. Marriages and processions were stopped at 8:30 so that people could tend to these serials and maybe give their blessings to the groom and bride later. So much so that a Reuters dispatch carried a news that once in Muharraq Sharif town of Afghanistan, there was a robbery. A car had been stripped of its entire parts because the security guards were busy watching the serial. And they had scribbled down on the windscreen, Tulsi Zindabad, long live Tulsi, the main protagonist of that show. That is folk power. Now India seems to qualify as a folk power by default. Mahatma Gandhi with his concept of non-violence, and Bollywood as a quasi-global dream fabric. These leave people with stars in their eyes. And India uses her power capacity for image building. And that is a part of a defensive folk power. In the end, I'll just conclude saying that, in the battle of nations and the clash of civilizations, it is not essentially the economic might or the military prowess that decides the country. Now, we have Now, what may divide the country in coming years is the nation that tells the better story. And I guess India definitely tells the better story. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand. Although it was an icebreaker or level 1 speech, it didn't seem so. Next we have Satish. I welcome Satish to give his speech.
So I take a couple of minutes.
Good evening to the Toastmasters. A special welcome to our guests and also to IBM students. Before going on to start speech, this speech is my first speech here in Toastmasters Club, so we can call it as an icebreaker session. And the topic is Mr. Rat. Mr. Rat. Okay. Before going to proceed over the topic, I will explain how I arrived at this topic. I was thinking about the topic which I want to choose. But when I was thinking, I felt that I want to choose a topic which revolves around my everyday life. So I took the topic as a rat. It's because the rat plays a major role in my everyday life. It's not in a positive manner, in a negative manner. My friends fondly call me as Mr. Rat. Or else I will say in the correct way, they will call us Eli. Eli means, Eli in Tamil means rat. So, how I got this pet name? It starts with a long story. When I was in undergraduation, I was in hostel, even now I am in hostel. So, at that time, I used to store snacks. It's about, I love these Good Day biscuits very much. That is that cashew Good Day biscuits, no one can deny that. It's a very sweety and yummy. When I store that Good Day biscuits, each time when I buy a new one and after taking few biscuits, I will keep in my almirah, the rat come and spoils the thing. So I thought to keep a check on that. After that, I felt that, okay, it should not keep in the open almirah, I should keep in the bag. So other day, I bought another Good Day biscuit and kept in the bag. This time, I not only lost the biscuit, I also lost my bag. It's because the rat came over and teared the bag and went into and took the biscuits. Not only took the biscuits, also spoiled some of my class. Oh, what a problem. How I can put a check? Okay, this time I will keep it in a closed container. So I bought a plastic container from my nearby street. Unfortunately, I could get only a low quality of plastic. So this time also I kept a biscuit, but this time what it is, it teared the plastic bags also and took it away. So it kept on going. After that, I want to kill this cat. Kill this rat. It's not a single rat, but I have enmity over that. So I kept a stick over my head, over my room, and also I kept that biscuits and those things to come the rat to come. Once the rat come, it happened like this thing. I will showcase this video to just show a similarity.
Pull that down.
I think it's still over here.
You have to pull it down. Just stop it.
Yeah, it's the same way it happened. I took a broomstick with my hand and I ran over behind the rat. So it keep on running on the corridors, then to the ground, then it ultimately went to the academic block. I kept on running and many of my friends noted it. And yeah, this is how I reacted. Unknowingly, many of my friends noted this. From that time onwards, I was fondly called as rat. So this thing continued even after coming here. My mom sent a luggage of snacks and also some rice mixes. Because I am suffering from this North Indian food, I couldn't taste it. So my South Indian mom sent all this preparing masala something by speed post. These guys sent it through train rather than by flight or some other service. You know about trains. There are a lot of rodents running over coaches in the train. So this time also I spoiled. The postman here over here called me and told, see the pathetic condition. Are you going to take it or shall I return? Oh God, what I can do after returning that? So I said that I will take it and take it and dispose it in the dustbin. So such things happened over me and I started hating rat. And also ultimately his brother mines. So, and I also started noting how damage it is causing to not only to you, not to the country. And I felt that around 30% of the foods produced in India are damaged by these rats in one or another way. Not only the storage rooms and also in the paddy fields and all. And they are also causing many diseases like leptospirosis, rat fever and all. But I felt that there is two sides to a coin. On the flip side, it made also advantage I felt. So I started googling about it, and I also later found that it has many advantages. Like it's used as a research lab rat in many of the diseases, many of the research purposes. It's because it has many features similar to humans, like intelligence and also their feet. And also their organs are more similar to Indians. Humans. Sorry, I missed that. And also in ancient traditions, the rats are worshipped by Indians and also by Chinese. In Chinese, the first zodiac is the rat. So the people who born in the month of rat, that is the zodiac according to China, feel that they have more intelligence compared to the people who are born in some other months. And also there is a special rat temple in Rajasthan. If you people from Rajasthan, they might know that. And also we uses the rat as one of the gods who helps for Lord Ganesha. And finally I want to conclude that not only in this life there is a comics and also in movies you see the rat roles a major role by famous characters like Jerry in Tom and Jerry animation and also the famous hit movie Ratatouille. So I finally want to conclude that there may be some bad sides to everything, but also feel that there is a good thing which the same they may have. So now I am not hating cat, started to love cat because of some of the features which have. Thank you.
May I ask a question? Is that why you took cat?
Sorry?
Is that why you took cat?
Very good joke.
Thanks Satish for that funny speech. I think the audience loved it a lot. I hope to get the blessings of Lord Ganesha for speaking about this career. Finally we have the last prepared speech. So Vaibhav will come and speak. I welcome Vaibhav.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. Kamble. Welcome to Toastmasters at Valentine. This is CC3 for me. So, the topic that I'm going to speak now is probably a little alien to all of you. It's about writing your farewell letter when you leave an organization. So, I'll be discussing two versions of it. And maybe you can't relate to it because a lot of you don't have any work experience, but do listen carefully. So I work for an organization, let's take any organization, say Ghari Detergents or anything. Let's say I work for Ghari Detergents and I have to leave that organization. Now there are two versions and there are two ways to leave an organization. The version one, if you want to leave a good impression. Today is my last day at Ghari Detergents. It's been a distinct pleasure. Thank you for the wonderful time. I learned a lot during these past 3 years. I'm emotionally charged. I can't put my feelings onto paper. The words are all blurry. My eyes have tears. And I can't express the gratitude that I feel towards the company. It has been an amazing and a learning experience. And then just ended with a very nice quote by, say, a poet like Bashir Badr. आँखों से दिन रात बरसात होगी, अगर जिंदगी सर पे जज्बात होगी, मुसाफिर हो तुम भी, मुसाफिर है हम भी, फिर किसी रोज कहीं मुलाकात होगी. So you leave it on a high note. But let me tell you, whenever you join a company, it will not be like college. There is 99% chance you'll hate your job. You will be very dissatisfied with the kinds of hike and raises that you get. You will be dissatisfied with your working hours, and your boss will be the one person that you'll absolutely hate. There is absolutely no chance that you get to like your boss. So there is a version 2 also, which you can write, and it goes something like this. And then you can decide which version I wrote. I'll ask you. you think I wrote for my farewell. It begins like this. It's a distinct pleasure that I am writing today is my last day, and I waited impatiently for this day to arrive for the last 3 years. You don't know my joy, and it wouldn't have been possible without your absolute lack of support. Thank you for it. I thank you for the words of gratitude which you did not express. The office politics and blame game have been a very learning experience. I learned a lot from them. Thank you for that. It has been a tremendous exercise in character building because the deadlines kept shifting and you didn't have any plan on how to approach things. So, as they say, adversity builds character. There was a lot of adversity, and so I underwent a lot of character building. The regular hikes and raises have kept me motivated so long, even so that I work for 12 hours on weekdays and even on national holidays. I don't think I can get any better experience in any other organization. I am truly humbled and grateful to you. I don't know how to thank you, so I don't. And to my manager, I would especially like to say that it takes a very strong person to accept his mistakes, and even a stronger person to put it on me. So, thank you for this. I appreciate whatever you've done for me. Whenever you've eaten my lunch, which I clearly gave it as mine. So, thank you so much. And yeah, this is another version. So, which version do you think I wrote?
First one.
Yes, I wrote both the versions. If you write the second version, definitely you can't go back into the same organization unless your boss also has a sense of humor, which is very rare. Bosses don't have sense of humor. So, yeah, I wrote the second version, and I wrote it in text and then made that text white. So it was only visible to those who could read under the lens. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Being from the same organization, I believe my story was pretty same, although I didn't write a mail like that. Finally, we are at the end of our prepared speeches. Now I will hand over to the table topic master who will give us our impromptu speeches, impromptu topics for the day. I will urge a few volunteers from IPM to come forward and really speak, because this is how you can actually.
You can cold call also, no?
Yeah, yeah. If no one comes, you can do some cold calling, especially the ones who are laughing at the last word in the last word. So, okay.
Last
so
bench is a prime candidate.
yeah, I welcome Saravanan to please come and take over.
Very good evening to all the fellow Toastmasters. So I have some topics with me. So Ankit Dhawan is the first person to come on stage. Yeah, it's basically an extempore topics. So you'll be given 2 minutes time. So at the end of 1.5 minutes, the warning signal will be given by the timer. So okay, that's all. Welcome Ankit Dhawan. So the first topic would be, there was a loud scream from the girls' hostel. Complete the story.
You can think over for 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's not the not necessarily, but so the topic is usually like this.
That's a big one. Ankit, 30 seconds.
Okay, so this is a very troubling topic that has been given to me. So if you guys, first of all, since I'm the only one who is going to give the speech, if you don't guys turn up, it's going to be rated the best one. So now, suppose I'm sitting in my room and I just hear a loud scream from girls' hostel. Suddenly the light also go off. There's no electricity, so there's just darkness all around. So what do? Since I'm a man of steel and since I'm a savior of the girls, I can't let this opportunity pass under my nose. So I do the only logical thing, run towards the girls' hostel. Okay, as usual, there's a lady guard who's guarding the girls' hostel, and apparently I'm the only one who has heard the scream. No one else has. So it's up to me to convince her that let me go inside the girls' hostel and let me see from where the scream turned up. So basically I'm going to argue with her that please let me inside the girls' hostel. I think I just heard a loud scream from the girls' hostel. Naturally, she must have been sleeping, so she didn't register the scream. So she's going to argue with me at length that no, I can't allow you. So what does the man of steel do? He tries to, he tries to find another way up. Now, if you have observed our college buildings, there are a lot of openings. It's not too difficult to, to go up a floor or two. So naturally, I would try to go up a floor or two. You mean a man of steel does not let a girl in harm, under duress. My test. Thank you very much.
Those were very creative ways to enter girls' hostels. Okay, so the mic is not on. Now it's on. It's on. Okay, so any volunteers from who will be willing to come? Yeah, please.
Tell your name before you speak.
Okay, this is Pranav.
This is what we do. We forgot to mention that whenever somebody comes, we shake hands. This is a Toastmasters tradition.
Before leaving the stage or conversation, you have to shake hands.
Okay, so your topic will be the best dream that I ever had.
You can think for 13 seconds.
So, the best dream I ever had. Well, as the name suggests, it turned out to be a situation where I really regretted waking up. The dream